Welcome to How to Teach Grammar. My name is Sean Waring, and joining me today is Pam McAlpin.
Hello, I'm Pam, and I have been teaching kindergarten through third grade students for many years, over 30, and right now I teach in a second and third grade school and teach English as a second language. So we have lots of experiences, challenges, and celebrations when we're trying to have young children understand grammar.
All right. So my overall question today is, how should we help students improve grammar and the conventions they use in their writing?
It's a long process. It's a long process. The best way to do that is with vivid oral language, always. Lots and lots of oral language in the classroom, lots of conversation, and lots of modeling. And the other way is through writing, process writing. Children learn how to use language correctly by speaking correctly and by writing correctly. So those are the two broad ways to do it. Now, we have problems, so I knew you were going to ask me that.
So,
what's my next question, Sean?
Well, what are the thoughts about the most prevalent grammar problems in today's classroom?
We hear so much language now. We hear so much slang. We have it everywhere. We type, we text, we don't use complete sentences. Children don't have as many models, I don't think. And so school is where it's modeled. So we have to be really careful at school to model correct grammar.
So you're setting the example.
We set the example, and good literature does that too. So when you teach writing through examples of good literature, then you are, you're modeling correct grammar, and to hear it. I think you have to, and think about how you learned to speak correctly.
Right.
You had to hear it first, and your ear is the first thing that tells you whether something sounds right or not. And so one of the questions that we use often is when a child writes a sentence and maybe has an incorrect verb tense or an incorrect pronoun. We're not teaching all of those labels at second and third grade, but we say to them, does that sound right? And then you model one, and then they say it, and you say, does that sound right?
Okay.
So the other problem is time to write in our curriculum, because we have so many expectations and so many minutes to teach that time to write is limited. And I think probably kindergarten through grade 12 feels that way. I know all of us do right now. So we're hoping to have a shift to pull writing back in, more time for writing back into the curriculum.
So scheduling time in the classroom for students to sit down and write.
And that's where you get the most powerful grammar lessons. All of it, that's where the power is. But you do have to teach what's mini lessons too. So, you have to balance.
Mini grammar lessons.
Mini grammar lessons.
And they would last 5, 10, 15 minutes.
As an introduction to whatever you're writing.
Right.
So, for instance, my second graders, I'll show you. These are hilarious. My second graders have been rewriting a folk tale because that was part of what they had in their basal curriculum. So they've been rewriting a folk tale. This has taken 3 weeks because I only do it about 20 minutes a day, and that's not enough. I wish I did it an hour because I could keep them engaged for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
But they planned, then they wrote a rough draft. This is where I can teach grammar and conventions. This is where this little boy is
in the context of their own writing.
Of their own writing. So this is where this little boy has learned how to use quotation marks.
Okay.
Okay? And this is where he is practicing correct punctuation with question marks and capitalization, which is very developmentally appropriate for a second grader. He's also, and this is interesting because this is something I wanted to when we talked.
Mm-hmm.
He's also learning how to use correct verb tense.
Using the verb tenses correctly in his writings.
Yeah. See,
And
like he used
shows
planted
improvement.
and took and baked. He used ate, and we had to. That was a mini lesson.
So present tense, past
Yeah,
tense,
see.
and using those tenses in his own writing
Right.
and sentences.
Exactly. So that was one of the mini lessons that we did before or during this writing process.
Okay.
Okay. So it's interesting. Effective lessons. Effective lessons are short to the point, and then allow the child to practice.
So focus on one particular grammar issue that a student may be having,
Yep.
or that you want to teach, and then have them use that in the
Use
classroom.
it. Put it to practice.
Put it to practice.
And you're modeling all the time too. You're modeling. You know, years ago, I remember teaching grammar out of a little. There was an orange book and a green book and a yellow book, and they were leveled. And all they did was open the book and practice, like filling in the blank and, you know, putting your commas in the right place. And I don't know if you remember that or not, but then that was fine. But then the children didn't know how to actually use that skill.
It was just pertaining to what they were doing in grammar, but they didn't carry over to their own writing.
Exactly. It was a skill in isolation. You know.
There was a break between the learning and the using.
Exactly. So everything you teach, you know, and it's interesting. I was just looking at this second grade. This is a second grade big unit of study, and there's a grammar piece in every lesson. You know, you can't always get to it, but there's, for instance, the unit 4 that I'm teaching right now is adverbs. And this is second grade.
Right.
They're learning what
Starting
an adverb.
early.
They're learning what an adverb is, and the last unit is verb tense. So
Okay.
it goes back. You know, it keeps spiraling, and then we'll do the same thing in third grade. We just keep spiraling and adding and spiraling and adding.
Okay.
All that. So.
Well, I want to thank you, Pam, for your dedication to teaching and your keen insights today into the grammar. I'm Sean Mooring, and thank you for watching How to Teach Grammar.
Bye-bye. You didn't have to ask any questions. I just talked the whole time. That's okay, isn't it?